Yes, I think the market is very confident that Macron is going to win. Actually, opinion polls have been very reliable for the first round, and there were some doubts about whether or not they were misleading, as they have been in the past for some of the votes in other countries. And I think now people trust that Macron will be able to win very easily against Marine Le Pen. I would say maybe the correction in the market is a bit excessive, but there is a sort of optimism related to the fact that Macron has a very market-friendly program. He's advocating reforms to free up markets, to free up the labor market. And also, I think what is even more important for Europe is that Macron is very pro-Europe. He's in favor of more integration. He's in favor also of a sort of reshuffling of Europe in a way that would increase democratic accountability. So it's a very positive agenda for France, but also for Europe, I would say.
Now, as someone who has lived the French economic reality, as few have since the financial crisis, I mean, we've heard these types of promises before. Rationalizing labor laws, unleashing productivity, yet nothing really seemed to transpire. Why could it be different this time with Macron?
Well, first of all, there has been some reforms. They have been too slow. They have been coming probably too late, but there has been some reforms over the last 10 years. The labor market is a little bit more flexible. There has been a labor market reform implemented last year, which is also improving the situation. But I think Macron is he's really a sort of breakthrough in political life of the country. We used to have the position between the center right and the center left, and none of them were really in agreement within each camp about what needed to be done, especially regarding structural reforms and regarding Europe. Macron has built his new party on the idea that he could work with both the right and the left on a very market-friendly platform to reform the economy, to improve the functioning of the labor market, to improve the functioning of the education system, and then boost productivity. And I think this is, quite interesting to see this runoff for the second round between someone who is very Eurosceptic, who has a very old-fashioned economic policy program based on the intervention of the state, based on protectionism, and on the other hand, Macron is really the representative of more smart economic reforms, a more prudent fiscal policy, but also more cooperation within Europe. I think it's really a breakthrough, and it's interesting to see that last night, after the results were made public, many politicians from the center-right and the center-left decided immediately to back his candidacy for the second round.
Now, if you add up the vote tallied by Mélenchon, the far-left candidate, and Marine Le Pen, the far-right candidate, it's a not insignificant slice of the French electorate. So what does that say about, the social cohesion, the extent to which there's a consensus in France about the future of the country, in Europe, and the future of the modernization of the French economy?
I think this is something which is common to many European countries. In the past 10 years, I would say, governments in most countries did not explain what they had to do to reform their economy. They have done some reforms, sometimes blaming Brussels for doing it and not explaining why these reforms were good for the economy. And we are now in a situation whereby we have a very strong fragmentation of the political landscape, which we have seen in France yesterday, which we've seen in Spain last year, and which we will see in Italy next year when they go to the polls. So I think there's really a need to explain why these reforms are necessary. There is a support for a reform agenda. We've seen that yesterday with Macron and Fillon, I would say, because Fillon was also in favor of reforms, altogether gathering more than 40% of the votes. Yes, that's not yet 50%, but I think that's a progress. And I think Macron has built up his campaign on this need for reform. So I would say, okay, I understand that foreign investors may doubt about his ability to do this reform, but I think this is a real chance, and that's really a breakthrough compared with the situation in the past, whereby we had the right and the left competing with each other and eventually not really doing what they had promised during the campaign.
Just finally, less than 30 seconds left. What are you going to be looking for in markets over the next 2 weeks as we get to this second all-important vote?
I think the second round, as you said, seems to be very clear. There's a lot of backing for Macron, and he should be winning the second round. But more importantly, what will be interesting to follow is the campaign for the parliamentary election. The president, when he's elected, he will need a majority. And in a situation where we have a significant fragmentation of the political landscape, there's a big question mark about which majority he will be able to rely on. And that's probably what the market is going to focus on in the next couple of weeks.